And he needs to wear pants when he's on a live stream.
Dude, we just went live.
just
You need
interrupted.
fucking context for that.
Talk about perfect timing.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to today's stream where we're going to be talking about some of the biggest problems in today's gaming industry. All of us here are gamers with like decades of experience in the gaming industry. We've seen it evolve, devolve, change, wrap around, and come back at itself. Some of our favorite companies. I think I might start off with Fire because he's been following one of the biggest companies. Fire, what the fuck is going on with Warhammer?
Oh Christ!
Sorry, Warcraft.
Okay.
Warcraft.
So some background. My brother and I were playing. We were playing the original Warcraft games. We're talking like old PC Warcraft, the strategy game. We played the original. We played 2. Then we played the hell out of 2. We played the shit out of Warcraft 3. And then later on, my brother got me into World of Warcraft when the first iteration of it first came out, like vanilla WoW, straight immediate release. We were playing that game from first edition vanilla all the way up until the expansion before the last one. That's how long we'd been playing fucking World of Warcraft. But things got so bad, unironically, right after the Activision merger. And I have a whole... Here's the thing. I have a key set of companies I fucking am disgusted with when it comes to the gaming landscape. Activision's one of them. 2K is another one. Fucking EA is up there, although it's not in my top group like for a lot of people, because occasionally EA can do something kind of right.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say
Activision
Activision is objectively worse than EA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But Microsoft is up there because of a lot of the dumb shit they've been doing the last 10 years or so.
Recently, Bungie.
Bungie's your bitch, and I'll let you deal with that one.
Yeah.
But and then on the actual game developer side, Capcom can kiss my ass, and so can fucking oh god, there's another one. It's right on top of my tongue. They're basically dead, but BioWare can kiss my ass.
Maxis
too.
can kiss my ass. Honestly.
And then let's not even get into the fucking beluga of
you.
Actually,
he's talking about the company.
That's why I was giggling. I'm just like,
the company who made the Sims. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's the fucking beached like rotten whale carcass that is Bethesda.
Oh my god. Okay. So can I just hop off on Bethesda for a second if that's okay?
Go for it.
So as Kusri and as Farv are well aware, hey Miss Martin, good to see you. Also, I'd like to say hi to everyone in the chat. Adela, good to see you again. Have not seen you in a while. Orville Nation, Bubba, he's here. I'd also like to say hi to those over on Phil's stream. Cathy Skywalker, good to see you. So, Bethesda has released Skyrim in 2011, 12 years ago. They released a full paid version of Skyrim. Can any of you guess the addition that they added in, which was their big marketing ploy?
This is the recent one.
Uh-huh.
Nintendo Switch?
The recent one. Fishing.
Ha! That was it?
What?
That was the marketing ploy.
Fucking
fishing.
fishing.
They added in fishing. Yes.
Yes, because all I wanted to do while playing fucking Skyrim in the entirety of its land is, fishy.
Look,
I know a lot of people that love wasting that kind of time.
Look,
You can fish in the place of Eidolon in freaking Warframe for crying out loud.
I
Yeah,
have spent a lot of time fishing in World of Warcraft, but that's because back when I was fishing all the time, it's because I played a hunter. I mained a hunter on the Horde and the Alliance side. And back then, you had to feed your pets, and you had to feed them specific shit. So whenever you had a damn cat pet, you had to fucking fish to make sure you had fucking food.
See, that's where it makes sense at, though. Not
Bethesda
for
has
fuck's
then
sake.
gone over to is that the Advanced Edition? It's actually on the Gold Legendary Edition right now.
Jesus, man.
Oh yeah, that's one thing a part of the
Oh,
gaming
yeah,
industry
no,
I've gotten so freaking tired of.
What I'm saying, Miss Martin's like, I kind of like the fishing. Oh yeah, no, but what I'm saying is the
Okay,
game
fair.
12 years ago.
Yeah, it's a 12-year-old game is the issue that keeps getting released now. Granted, it's not top draw retail price. They're not quite that dumb.
No, it's like 24.
No, it's just like right
Yeah.
below it.
Like that.
But the
Yeah.
issue is they're reselling this game that they've released so many times and just doing the bare bones thing to say that there's something new.
It's like, oh
That's
yeah,
kind
it's
of-
yeah,
totally
exactly.
remastered again.
Yeah.
Buy
Like,
It changed
Skyrim one
probably
more
by like a
goddamn
pixel.
time.
Oh, you know
get
what,
the
Thomas?
Rockstar.
That's a good one. Rockstar
Because
is
it just
another
works.
bad
Yeah.
one.
Oh my god, Rockstar.
So we will get the Rockstar. So one of the
Yes, Miss Martin, that is also entirely true.
Yeah, we're still waiting for his latest book DLC.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
So, Bethesda then created Elder Scrolls Online via the studio ZeniMax.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they made a game, and the game was absolutely fantastic when it first came out. You're like, oh my god, there's
still decent now.
Yeah, but compared to when it first came out, like to what it is now, lore wise and everything, because of the one big lore issue. Right? They're like, oh yeah, the Alliance War, you're like, when are we? Like, how far back are we? Because you know the empires, and if you know the lore.
You might want to explain at least briefly explain the timeline issue being the lore issue.
Yeah, okay. So, in the Second Age, in the year 584, there, the man known as Tiber Septim, or Jarl Earlybeard, created the new Tamrielic human-led empire in the Elder Scrolls universe. The issue is this game is set in 564 at this stage, right? Which is 20 years beforehand. We have met Talos' father. No matter what this war does, no matter what the outcome will be when they finish it, right? It is pointless. Talos is going to rise up, kill the Elf Queen, kill all the leaders of all three factions, and take over as the head, which means no matter what we do in the game, overall, it is pointless. They then have a loot system, which, like a loot box system in it, which you get these crystals, you can put money on. I saw some guy putting $2,000 on it at one stage, right? And he's like, I'm going to get everything. You're like, cool, okay, that sounds great. Problem is, it changes every month.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, now to be fair, a lot of games do that. That's not an
They
Elder
do.
Scrolls
Loot
specific
boxes
issue.
have gotten so much worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
loot box is a huge problem. But the thing about Elder Scrolls is they're like,
No.
you get all
I
these
think you
trolls.
misunderstand. I think you misunderstand what they're called. They like to call them surprise mechanics.
No, that's an
Get
an EA move.
surprise mechanics.
That's
No,
an
no,
EA.
no, Barb, say it with me. Surprise mechanics.
Actually,
I'm
Jet
not going
Mark's
to say that
underneath-
because that's
The
bullshit.
surprise mechanics can kiss an
Exactly.
Actually, the surprise
Exactly.
mechanics has actually changed due to
ATD.
some lawsuit in Japan, Europe,
In the UK,
Canada-
yeah. There
yeah,
was a UK
UK.
thing specific. I think they were the
Because
first ones, actually.
They were because they were viewing it as an in-game lottery system. It started off with the skins in, I want to say, Modern Warfare.
Overwatch was doing it real bad. I think that's where it
Yeah.
kicked
Well,
in.
but
was Blizzard and
the
Overwatch.
reason for it though, the biggest reason for this is that they're actually fixing, in their eyes, they're fixing the problem. The problem is that if you've got enough money, hell, it's still like that. You know, even if they change everything. But this was how they fixed their pay to play scenario, like or pay to win. So in their eyes, it's even it'll even the playing field. The problem is is that we know that there are whales out there that will just continue to shove more and more money in there until they do eventually get everything. So really, what sounded like a fix turned out to just be more money grubbing.
Yeah, Thomas Potts, 2K has the same problem. EA and 2K are infamous for having sports games where barely anything changes, but they charge full price for it.
Exactly. They might as well be the one. Those games might as well be the free to play. Might as well be the free to download
now,
games.
What were you saying?
No, I was just bringing you up, like fire.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, before I get back to what I was saying, the one thing I do want to say is that there's also a distinct difference when you're talking about this loot box thing between a company like, let's say, EA or Activision, who's like, oh yeah, we're going to do this big ass loot box bullshit like we do in every fucking Call of Duty game for the last 15 fucking years. And, you know, and then like all the shit that Ubisoft does where they pile a bunch of skins and shit onto Rainbow Six Siege. But the problem is you're paying for these games already.
Yes.
And so it's a difference I want to point out between a free-to-play game, which you already know going in. Most free-to-plays have a bunch of stuff you can buy because that's how the game gets maintained. And since most of those games, Genshin Impact, there's others like Guild Wars does it. These are games with no subscription fee. A lot of time they're free to download or whatever. And you're paying to fund the game basically, and they give you stuff.
Yes.
And it's like that can be a little annoying.
That's how
sometimes.
MMOs thrive.
Yeah, it's how a lot of MMOs that are free to play. And it's why it's been so egregious with Blizzard, because you still got to pay subscription fees and shit for World of Warcraft. And yet they still got this weird shit on the shop. And then, you know, you look at fucking like, what is Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal? Yeah, fuck off. Those games already cost money, and your loot system is so fucked in that thing. They had people spending thousands of dollars on those Diablo games.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember also hearing too that when Star Wars Battlefront 2, I'm really referring to the new one.
How now let me point something out about that I had before.
That like retract the whole loot system as well.
Hold on. The loot system in that was borked, and that was an EA thing, by the way. DICE didn't want it. EA pushed it. And when they got so much blowback, DICE, who were the ones getting most of the flack instead of EA, went back up the chain to EA, and they were the ones. Now, DICE has fucked up since then. I'm not defending them on everything. But in the case of Battlefront 2, it is DICE's doing that Battlefront 2 actually became a much more popular game because DICE fought to get that stupid bullshit removed. The fucking pay-to-win card system shit and the loot boxes got pulled because they were so unpopular that DICE panicked, because back then I was actually on the DICE Battlefront 2 forums. And they panicked so hard because there was such a huge flood of bullshit on the forums that DICE was like, literally, okay, guys, we agree. This is stupid. We're trying to fix it. Yeah. And to their credit, they not only fixed it, but they put out a shitload of fucking free DLC for like 2-3 months afterwards. They put a bunch of shit in from the prequels and the Clone Wars that people were actually asking for. And they made up for it. They did something to make up for the problem. And now I agree. That's the problem. Like with that as an example, like some companies backed off, but then a lot of them, they backed off for about a month to make a show of it. And then EA included, they jumped right back in and doubled down afterward.
I mean, absolutely. Like going back to ZeniMax for a second, one of the big fucking issues that I had is I was a monthly subscriber to get all the regions unlocked, right?
This is on
ESO, Elder Scrolls
ESO,
Online.
okay. Just double checking.
Yeah, I was a monthly subscriber. Okay, 1,200 gems a month, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I needed to get a good mount. They had like all these fiery mounts, all these like big fuck off legendary mounts that you'd hear from lore and everything like that. They turn around and it's like I got nothing. I've only gone in all my years of playing it from 2014 when it first came out. I got 3 mounts. That's it from the loot system. Now, To Genshin's credit, it originally annoyed me at like having to buy these characters, but to Genshin's credit, right? They essentially what they're doing with their characters is it's like you can buy, if you want to be lazy, buy the orbs and like play the lotto for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you can earn the orbs. I was looking at it today, right? And in one day of playing, I earned over 500 Primo Gems. That is half, like a third of a way to get the.
Well, let me put it this way: the last 4 characters I unlocked, including one of the main ones I was trying to get, I actually got just by exchanging the Primo Gems I'd gotten doing missions in the game and side missions, and just exchanging those for the orbs that I used to roll for the damn characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I got absolutely fucking lucky. Max, did I tell you how many orbs it took me to get Fortunia?
How many did it take you for you to get Farina?
Yeah, to get Fortunia's little sister Farina. Right? How many do you think on the 10 pull it cost me?
I'm
going to make you jealous. One.
Are you talking about how many like?
Did you get it on a single orb spin or a 10?
Yes,
I got. You got it on a single. Okay.
Nice.
I put it on the Facebook and people were like, "What the fuck?" I'm like,
well, the funny thing is when I unlocked Jean like I wanted to, I got like 2 other characters on that roll.
Thanking you. Yeah, I still haven't gotten.
So it's like it's not perfect. Like I'm still trying to get Sucrose.
Yeah.
And now some of them are they're very specific things that have to be going on for you to get them, but they tell you as much when the banners come up. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I got.
Like tell in the info like which things have been going
on. That's how I got. That's how I ended up with Beidou and Baizhu is because they brought those banners up and they were on the banners. So I rolled for them.
Which is good, but talking about like going back to the issues, Bungie. Fucking Bungie and Destiny.
Before you start, I do want to bring up one thing.
Go ahead.
Let's don't get too into the weeds because the loot boxes system is only one part of the larger issue.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking loot box. I'm talking the company itself.
Oh.
All I'm gonna say about Bungie is that if Destiny was done the way they originally intended everything to do, like it was shown in all those,
it'd be amazing.
It would have been the game that got them world domination. The game looked so damn good. It looked good.
Before we get into Destiny, let me point out something about Bungie. Because you would not believe this, Revan, but I had a long history with Bungie before Destiny was an issue. Because Bungie used to do fucking Halo before they gave it to fucking 343. Yes. Bungie also made one of my favorite PC games back in the day that later got a console port that barely anybody's heard of these days called Oni.
Oni, yup. It was on Oni on PS2, yeah.
And before it was on PS2, it was on PC. And that was one of the coolest, like weird ass, like faux cyberpunk, like beat 'em up games. It was like a beat 'em up third person shooter. That was cool as fuck. That was one of the first games of theirs I actually played because I missed Marathon. I played the original Halo, and then I played all the way from OG Halo all the way up to Halo Reach while Bungie still owned it. And those were some of my brother and I's favorite games back in the day was Halo and Gears of War were the reasons we owned fucking Xbox consoles back in the day. And then Microsoft, being the geniuses they are, when they got the rights to them, they gave fucking Gears of War to the Coalition, who fucked it up within 2 games. And they gave fucking Halo to 343 Industries, who also basically completely fucked it up in less than 2 games.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now let's go on to the Destiny thing because that's where Bungie went off on their own way and fucked up in a different way.
Bungie's tried to re-release Marathon.
Oh God, yeah, boy, did they fuck that up.
Oh yeah, they had a testing audience about Marathon, and they're like, if we release Marathon today, would you play it? Okay. Out of the 86 testing people, 84 said no. Now, Bungie started 10 years ago with a little game called Destiny. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they intended that game to last for at least a decade, which a lot of other games try to follow in their wake.
Yeah.
I'm going to be this guy and say this, apart from MMOs, and I know this technically doesn't apply to Destiny because it is technically a first-person shooter MMO.
Yeah.
But unless you are running a server-based MMO game, games as a service needs to die as a concept.
Yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, so Destiny released like 10 years ago. Actually, the new one that's coming out in June is actually the 10-year, like the culmination of a 10-year long story. Now, they turned around, they released all the DLCs in Destiny 1. You went through all the lore, you learned about the characters, you were like, oh, there's something big coming, because you're like, wait, who's Oryx talking to? Who's the deep? Who's the shadow in the deep? Who's the voice in the darkness? Right? Then they released Destiny 2. You lost your life. You lost everything. Complete reboot. You're like, oh my god, this is fantastic. The first mission in Destiny was absolutely beautiful. You walking through hell, right? Your character, your light is like, I promise to stay with you. Like, you could hear him dying in your hands.
Your ghost.
Yeah.
We and also we went from Dinklebot to Nolanbot.
Exactly. And so they then released the Osiris DLC, the Warmind DLC. They released all of them. They then done a thing called vaulting because they claimed that they don't have that the consoles would not have enough memory to hold all of the like the worlds, the DLCs, and everything like this. They wouldn't have enough memory for it. We now have another issue. I tried to introduce Kusari to Destiny. Right, Kusri? Can I lean on you for half a second? As a noob to Destiny, right? Like being basically kicked in. What did you think of the world?
Depressing.
But
now, to be fair, that's good when it's done right, for the right reasons.
Yeah, but
for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, Kusri doesn't know. Like she doesn't know
why it was going through anything.
Got it.
And it just looked like
war.
That's how it's been this entire time, and
it hasn't.
Like, oh,
yeah.
Why do I have a feeling I'm missing something?
Yeah,
and then I went to a panel and I realized how much I missed and was like, oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. No. Even then, I know I haven't really gone through Destiny story, but the original stuff like they saw in the trailers, yeah, the story looked interesting from the original trailers. But yeah, they changed things around in what we got in the base game. Yeah, and that's because we didn't really know. We don't know anything. The only thing we know about is this weird black garden thing that we happened at the end of the game. And again, all the enemies and bosses were all just bullet sponges. And of course, we got no real thing about like the so-called Queen of the Reef, her brother, and any other characters. There's like in base Destiny, there was like maybe 2 or 3 there's like maybe 3 or 4 cutscenes spread out across the game.
Well, now, Jet Sparks, we have the brother has been killed. He's a guardian. We know all about who the Awoken are, where they come from, the universe that they live in. Oh yeah, they now live in the Pocket universe. That's where they originally come from. Then they were originally human, got attacked by the darkness, saved by the light, got turned blue, went into Pocket universe, came out again. They then turned around. The queen died, but she didn't die. But she did die, but she also didn't. She came back with it. Yeah.
Sounds like a fucking soap opera.
Yeah.
It is a fucking soap opera.
She came back as a witch. She came back because of the witch, but that was a hallucination. And now this guy called the Darkness, the big be-all, end-all boss of a 10-year-long storyline showed up, right? Barb, you're a writer, right?
He's just called the Darkness. The Darkness.
Actually, no, he's called the Witness. He's not the dark. It turns out he's not the Darkness. He's the first knight from a fucking poem. Do not get me started on
what were you gonna ask me?
Okay, with someone like the Witness, the big be-all, end-all, right? The first knife, the one who cuts reality in half. When would you introduce him? At least, if not in person, when would you show him?
Me personally, I'd wait a long time. Now, just to use myself as an example, the big main villain in my book series, because it's going to be probably 3, he's vaguely mentioned by a couple of people near the end of the first book. He's mentioned a few more times, though nobody knows who he is in the second book. But for a long time, the characters don't even realize that he's even the big one behind this. Or that he and another person that one of them has run into in the past are the same. So it really depends on how your story is meant to reveal and play out the villain.
Yeah.
The villain in mine is very behind the scenes until he isn't, when he's ready to finally make his move. There's hints and there's points where he is mentioned, but for the longest time, it looks like it's 2 or 3 of the other villains that are in the books throughout the series that are actually responsible for what's been going on. Now, in the terms of this, it honestly depends on how hands-on this villain is supposed to be.
He is supposed to have he created the Black Garden. He has been literally every villain. He created the Worm Gods, who created the Hive, who created the main bad guys of Destiny 1, right?
Okay.
He has been chasing the Traveler. He is the reason that the whole world had an apocalypse in the first place.
Okay, well, let me pose this question to you. By the statement of the lore itself, how direct is this villain supposed to be?
He is talking to every single bad guy we have fought.
No. What I mean by direct is how much of things is he supposed to handle himself?
Not a lot. Then it
would be appropriate to not reveal him till near the end, if he has just been mostly pulling strings.
Yeah, he has shown up 9 years into Destiny.
Okay, that actually seems appropriate, though, if he's really just kind of puppet mastering shit.
When he showed up, he turned around and he just, you had to go and you're like, oh, we need to go, we need to do the veil to stop the witness, right?
Okay.
Turns around and you're like, oh, we've lost everything, we've sacrificed it. He puts his hand up, cuts a swash into the Traveler and goes inside it. And nothing happens. They've had 4 seasons, right? We have heard nothing from him. They had this big scene where they rip a hole into the Traveler itself. He goes inside it. This thing is a being of pure, he's a combination of an entire race's hatred, evil, right? He's the darkness, his first knife. Goes inside it. Nothing has happened for a year and a half now.
Wow, okay.
It would, and that I would find it acceptable if they actually addressed it in some way. I'm not saying he needs to show up immediately afterward, but there needs to be some acknowledgement of what he's done, of what he's doing. There needs to be some hint of what the consequences of this are. You can't just abandon it completely.
Yeah. The Traveler has a hole in it. It's now got someone in it. The first season, what do you do? Okay, we think if we resurrect this dead person as a guardian, right? That this one who's been evil this whole time will help us. Emphasis on we think. Right? The trailer is showing us going inside, and it's like, oh yeah, if we go inside, whenever you go somewhere, it's like, I am doing research on what the witness is doing inside of the Traveler. I'm doing all this. And you're like,
and what are the reasons for that?
Yeah. The company, as a company, has laid off a lot of employees.
So I've heard.
Yeah, senior staff members.
Okay, so that would be my question to you guys. Is your problem with Bungie their storytelling or their game mechanics? Or is it one of those they need to either go or get off the pot? Or, are they just not delivering on anything that they promised?
That's got something to do with it, yeah.
I
don't even play Destiny, and I've been aware of a lot of this bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we're gonna go story wise. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, but story-wise, this character essentially destroyed both the civilizations of both the Cabal and the Fallen, and effectively he created both the
humans.
both the Hive and the Vex. He created the Hive and the Vex.
Yeah. The Vex are, as he put it, an anomaly, right? He said that they are and this line made no sense. They are my cancer to a tumor.
They're
What?
machines. I figured there's some sort of thing from some ancient race of machines that created them or something. I mean, but they're machines.
No, it's dumber than that, Jet Sparks.
Wow.
Right?
Just, if
you kill one Vex, right? They go into an alternate timeline where that Vex did not die and pull the same Vex out of it and replaces it.
Get it. It's the fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, so they're basically not only they're timeline hopping hopping robots.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
from like more consoles videos on like what the Vex could be. Yeah, we kind of got the gist that they're time traveling robots. But the only question is, what created them?
They did.
So
Literally.
Yeah, so they're paradoxical.
Yeah, that's their whole point. They're the paradox to the equation.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Okay,
goody.
so on like so as far as the overall video game industry, would you say this is a symptom of all of the overall problems, or are we just talking about Destiny?
No,
at this
this is a
it's a
Bungie
symptom.
specific issue in this particular.
Yeah, but also like because Bungie what was released today, right? Is that the Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo are trying to get together to release a code of conduct agreement amongst all platforms, which means if you were accused of racism,
God.
if you were banned off of games, if you were this, if you were that, will affect you on all platforms.
Are you freaking kidding me? How do you know that some fucker who really just does not like you?
And this is why it will never work. And hold on, this is why it will never work. And the minute it affects the bottom line, they'll drop it like a fucking hot piece of metal.
Yeah,
We've said that in the past, but we've seen what virtue signaling in every industry has done.
Now, before you take another step on that, I want you to take a look at the mainstream industries right now and tell me what's happening.
And it took them a decade.
Yes,
it took them a decade to do that.
Hold on. But gaming is a much more tumultuous industry. It's subject to a lot more fidgety bits than Hollywood's entertainment industry is.
What happens
because you have companies from multiple countries involved in this.
The course corrections I've noticed in gaming has happened on a lightning scale compared to Hollywood.
And I would also say that most of the big problems here come from the AAA companies who have been chasing the mainstream media and Hollywood for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're following along like stupid dogs that don't understand that the one in front of them just did something stupid. Because all the good shit I've seen coming out of games lately has been coming from smaller studios or larger groups that own smaller studios that are hands off with them.
Like I've noticed, like with Favre's channel in the past year, let's just say, has gone from having. I remember there about let's just say a year and a half ago, he was talking about breaking 100, breaking 200, like 110. I'll never get that far. Favre's now sitting at like 580 something.
No, we're not at 80. It's like 566 or something.
Yeah. 566. But like, and he plays like a lot of indie games, a lot of and he gets like an audience like shows up to his games. And
here's something that AAA studios need to figure out, and I base this partially in a lot of the games that I play. A lot of the AAA studios, they want to think like EA and Ubisoft. They want to try to push everything to be online, games as a service. That's not selling the way it used to.
No.
moderating people constantly is not selling the way it used to, and gamers didn't like that shit to begin with. But the company execs are always 10 sheets to the wind as far as fucking knowing what actual gamers want. Somebody pointed out today on something I was watching that the problem with the mainstream media and AAA game studios is they pay too much attention to what people on Twitter say because it's the lazy way for them to look at what quote unquote people think of things.
Exactly.
And that
They're
I'll
not
agree.
looking-
That on that I will agree whole like 100%.
IGN for the new Spider-Man game.
Oh god.
Someone came out and said, "It is one of the best PlayStation 5 games I have ever played. This game is not too long. It is absolutely fantastic. I love the graphics. It's stories like sucking the game stick, if you get
Yeah.
it, right? That is why it is leaps and bounds above the original Spider-Man, right? That is why I am giving this game 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. And if you look into it a little deeper, the ones who are tongue baiting this is usually because they agree with the politics being thrown around in that game, and they're there for the messages. They're there because it says the things they want to hear, and they do the things they want to hear. And the problem is, yeah, that's exactly correct, MJ1. I was actually going to get to that. A lot of the games on my channel, Evil West, Gungrave Gore, RoboCop Rogue City, Terminator Resistance, and quite a few others I've played on my channel, they prove without a shadow of a fucking doubt that the shit these studios say is bullshit. Single player games still sell, and they sell well if you make a good fucking game that people want to play again.
Or re-release old ones. Look at THQ Nordic. They have re-released the Darksiders series, and people are still buying them.
Yeah.
They re-released Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Nobody even knew that game existed,
Except
and yet
for
they
me, 'cause
still
I played
showed
the
back up.
original.
Oh, I did. I bought it. I stood in line and bought it on release day back in the day,
Yeah.
and they even put out brand new DLC for it.
Yes,
Like
they
THQ
did.
Nordic is. Yeah, THQ Nordic is doing. Now there are flaws. They didn't fix any of the old bugs, but people still love the games.
Yeah.
And there's a market for it, and that is proof that the rest of the gaming industry needs. I mean, there's still a whole group of people that bought Battlefront 2 because it still had that promise. No matter how small, it still had that that promised offline couch co-op mode, and that made people want to buy the game because they like sitting in person. People don't just want. I mean, we love being online, but we don't want to only be online.
That
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, at least, also the thing, at least fighting games still somewhat fundamentally still somewhat believe this.
Unless you're Capcom.
Talking about like fun games, like Max, like Kusri, right? You still love the Pokemon games.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like after all this time, because I don't
To
play
be
them.
fair, this is despite the many flaws the newer ones still have.
You shut your filthy mouth.
Yo, she knows it's true.
That is a very fair point.
I
there.
played Scarlet. We own Pokemon Scarlet. It's got some problems. Like, you can't get around it.
I played from the beginning up till now on that, and I they have gotten some problems and stuff. At least it's not like the Z moves of Alola.
Yeah, because the question that I really wanted is, right, from what's kept you there from like when you were born in the 90s, like with Pokemon in your hands. Like I've seen fans who are still there to this day from like who were like teenagers in the 90s, right? And are playing the games with their teenagers today. Like what has kept you there? That's like, oh my god, there's a new one. Right? Because I see how excited you get.
Outside of like some of the stuff that you gain from nostalgia and it being part of dealing with your childhood and everything, it still has very simple mechanics. It has a way to play where you can choose whether to play with others or rather play with yourself. Shut your mouth.
Really? Really, dude?
Of course he did.
Sorry.
I have another good example when she's done that I will bring up. Well, I don't want to interrupt her. I don't want to interrupt her.
But being able to go through an entire journey. You can choose whether to make it feel like one singular journey as like a character or anything, or bring out like multiple different like people and stuff.
Yes.
And then it's still grown as the franchise itself to points where there have been some pluses, there have been some negatives, but like it still feels wholesome and makes you feel right at home with it.
I get it. It feels
Wholesome despite the fan art.
Let's not go there.
Let's talk about that.
No, let's not. Favre, you were saying?
Well, there are there's a thing too to remember. There are certain types of games that a lot of these companies don't like to address that are incredibly popular, and there's certain things you should and shouldn't do for your company's health. Now, I'll bring that up in two parts. One, there are certain types of games that for a long time review sites, and we're talking the official ones, IGN and shit like that.
IGN and like
they
GMX
were trying to bury this particular game style. Now, if anybody here is familiar with a company called Koei made games that are typically described as the Warriors games. This is Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors. They're usually, a lot of people calls them 1 versus 100 games, which is not accurate, but it's a general thing. They're games where you pick a hero, and with Dynasty Warriors, it was based on like the ancient Chinese stories of the Three Kingdoms era. And you'd have just a bunch of characters you would unlock as you go that were based on the heroes from the old Chinese stories. And you just do these missions that were like wild, like kind of wild out there versions of the historical stories. Samurai Warriors, they did the same thing during the Warring States period. They gave you these over-the-top versions of the old samurai heroes and the mercenaries and all these characters. And they were just fun games because you'd have characters with different fighting styles, and you'd go out and just fight shitloads of people, capture areas, achieve objectives. They had local co-op in them. And as Koei branched out, they found slowly more ways to. Now, they had some trips along the way I won't get into too much detail. But as they were advancing with consoles, they started getting licenses where they did like three now Zelda-based Warriors games. They've done 2 Fire Emblem-based ones.
Those ones are fun.
Those are really cool games, and the story modes are actually really worth it. And then they got licensed from Nintendo to do an actual story-based prequel to freaking Breath of the Wild, which was a lot more fucking entertaining than Breath of the Wild because they actually had characters and a plot in it.
Although I do like to nickname that series Crisis on Infinite Links because it did kind of like merge the timelines.
Yeah, well, that was the whole point. Is one of the gods screwed around and actually merged the timelines?
Oh goody! More wibbly wobbly shenanigans.
No, this was literally a god tampering with reality, and it needed to.
And it actually made things better. Like it actually made the timeline better. So once in a while, when it's done correctly, it's not a problem.
Yeah, because the whole point of that game was to fix it
correctly.
And then,
points to Marvel or what not to do.
Exactly. Now, the other thing I was going to say, there's certain types of games that one company, they fixate on something and they're really good at it, and other people kind of try to emulate it. But the point is that it's still around for a reason. As much as other companies want to try to bury and mainstream review sites try to bury it because they don't like that kind of game, blah, blah, blah. Just bullshit. But it exists because people like it. It's popular. That's why some of these games, like Evil West, popped up, which was like one of those old. It kind of reminds you of one of those old Xbox 360 area third-person action games, but it's doing a slant. It's cowboys versus vampires. It's just fucking fun. You have Gungrave.
That sounds stupidly fun.
You check it out. It's on my channel. Check that shit out. It's weird as hell.
Yeah,
there's Gungrave Gore.
Make sure that you check out Favre and Jet Sparks.
Gungrave Gore is an old school third-person action shooter game based on basically kind of on an anime and a game series that came out back in the PS2 era. And this Korean company, Iggy Mob, got the rights to it from the creators to make a game literally that hadn't been out since the PS2. And they just suddenly busted out with a new one that was literally part of the same fucking timeline. And there's like, oh yeah, here's this. And it was a fun game. It had some hiccups, and they fixed the problems with it literally within about 3 weeks. They had fixed the issues people had on release. And it's just, you see these smaller companies like RoboCop. It's got a few small technical issues. Nothing's broken. The game thematically is amazing how accurate it is to the first two movies. It's fun to play. The Terminator Resistance games, especially the new one, the updated version they released for the big newer consoles, really good. And a lot of fun. And then the other issue I feel like, and this is one I'm going to point directly at Capcom on this one, is stop doing fucking remakes. Stop relying so heavily on fucking remakes. And I bring this up with Capcom specifically because I don't much care, neither does my brother, for the all Resident Evil remakes. A lot of people love them, and I feel like the people who love them the most were the ones who barely played the original games, so they lack the context of what's actually missing.
And how do you feel about the Final Fantasy remaking the 7th game?
7
it's
remake,
3 parts?
7 remake is actually doing its own thing. I've played all the way through it. I beat the original game. My brother even doesn't have a problem with that.
I played it myself, and
they're kind of doing a Flashpoint thing with Final Fantasy VII Remake.
They literally said straight out that Crisis Core, which was a spin-off that came out a long time ago on the PSP, was in its own timeline. It was its own story. 7 Remake is part of that fucking timeline, and they made it perfectly clear when the first one came out in the remake series. This doesn't affect.
Well, and they did a remake of Crisis Core.
Yeah, and that was actually pretty good too.
And
but that's the thing. Like, go ahead.
Sorry, it's ironic that that Final Fantasy only got popular with 7, and I mean, again, the original 6 games were mostly on Nintendo, with Nintendo. But of course, because of all the shenanigans that happened with the N64 was the reason why.
Yeah, why a lot of RPGs shifted around. Yeah. But and even 16,
you can count on one hand how many turn-based RPGs are on the N64.
Not a lot of them are good either. And FF16 was Square doing their own thing. And again, if you look at the sales, it did well. The problem is that Square was fucking up so bad financially with everything else before it released that one of the executives tried to blame it on 16. And now just a week ago, a bunch of shit came out where they literally had to admit, it was because of these things that our stock took a hit. It wasn't Final Fantasy 16.
And if I could say something on that real quick, Square, they're trying to chase the Western ideological market right now. That's their biggest flaw.
Up on that already, right?
Yeah, but they're still talking about it, and that's the thing. If Square Enix really wanted to make money, and everybody on this panel hands down, if Square really wanted to make money, they would go back and re-release, maybe touch up, maybe remaster a little bit, but not much. Re-release all the games that they never released in English, and the money would pour in faster than they knew what to do with.
All they have to do,
maybe and maybe not, because Nintendo did that with Star Fox 2, and hardly anybody cared.
Yeah,
because they only released it on one system, and it was and you had to buy this system that had 20 other games on it.
That's a Nintendo specific issue. But what I'm saying is, it still didn't have the impact they wanted it to, because at that point nobody cared.
At that point, it was long, and people could have just made patch, and it worked out just fine.
And as far as the Western thing, I won't get into that too much, because after Forspoken, that got dropped pretty hard.
But the thing about it at the same time is you have to look as well at the cultural landscape that Square Enix is a Japanese company, which means that their board would be Japan, and they don't play around with, as we'll put it, for modern audience.
I would say that all you really need to see,
but their American branch does.
But their American branch doesn't have the power it thinks it does. The issue,
but they do have their ear.
Yeah, but
the best
having the Japanese person's ear does not mean anything.
Yeah.
Best things come out of Square Enix, in my opinion, is Kingdom Hearts. I'll die on that hill.
But the thing is, like, I'm not getting into Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
'cause I have-
that story is so damn convoluted.
Well,
You
that's not
literally-
my
I'll
issue. My
agree,
issue-
I'll agree.
my
Can we let
issue-
Barb finish?
My issue is with Disney, not with Square, as far as Kingdom Hearts. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the issue is just now, Bad Wolf. I'm not gonna 100% agree with that. That's too generalized
Yeah.
because there are a lot of good games out. That just because most AAA stuff coming out is crap doesn't mean all of it is, and it doesn't mean that
Yeah.
smaller
Yeah.
studio games are bad either.
A lot of smaller
Exactly. There's a
studio
lot.
games have been doing a lot,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
better
the-
with their work
the
and stuff.
only
Now,
game
what I
I
was
But
going to
needs so
say
much
in
more
terms of the
effort.
Western influence thing, all you have to know to see where Square's still bread, butter in their bread, is look at the trailers for the second part of the 7 remake. They don't really give a rat's ass about the Western influence thing if you're paying any attention to those new trailers. But that aside, Capcom needs to stop with the remake thing because Capcom has made this mistake where I feel like they've got themselves in a rut. My brothers ranted about this. Yeah, okay, the remake REs are doing fine. You know what the next project they're talking about doing is?
No.
An RE5 remake.
Wait the
There's about a
fuck?
dozen fucking problems with this. I didn't hate 5. 5 had problems. I didn't hate it. A lot of the
Wasn't that long
I'm
ago?
going to say this with the stupid finger quotation marks. A lot of the real fans of Resident Evil hated 5.
Barb, question. Your friend who loves like Resident Evil, what's his whole take on the like constant remakes? Because he must just want at this stage a brand new, just go
Which
forward
one?
game.
I know I got a couple like that.
Phil.
I don't know what to tell you, Phil, because Phil liked the remakes.
Weird.
This
We're
one
talking
of the
about
few
different
thing-
Phil?
It's one of the few. No,
Yeah.
different Phil.
Okay.
One of the few things we've gotten into arguments about is him liking the remakes so much. Because I'll point out the legitimate issues with the remakes, and he just kind of ignores it or tunes it out. It
It
doesn't seem
just
to
goes.
process it.
Phew.
It one ear out the other, and it's nothing I blame on him. It's just he's not getting that, and so nah.
Yeah.
Code Veronica
Okay.
X was always its own thing, though. MJ1. I don't think Capcom was ever going to do anything with it.
Yeah.
Well, I think like there's a value like having like companies doing those collections because like with the like for example the Ninja Turtles currently has like a collection now with like the more or like arcade games like the
Do you
with the
know
older
what
games.
one
I
of
think
our-
there's
and
a
you bring
good
that up.
market with that.
You bring that up. Do you know what one of my brother and I's big issues with Capcom's obsession with these remakes is? So a little
What?
while ago, Capcom, you might, Phil, or might not know, anybody else here, remember that Capcom made a game series called Onimusha. Onimusha was a kind of RE style, more melee-based samurai game. It was set in like a mystic version of feudal Japan where you were a samurai fighting fucking demons. It was a good series. And in this mess of fucking remakes, they had put out a remake and a good remake because it was basically just an HD remaster of the first Onimusha game. It sold reasonably well. And then they didn't touch it. They didn't do any of the other games. They did the first game and then they fucked off and left it again. Now, that's one issue we have is like you have other stuff you could re-release and you refuse to do it because your executives arbitrarily decide without actually fact-checking that that's not a good idea. Capcom also has a bunch of fighting games that people loved that they refuse to touch. Rival Schools and Darkstalkers are two that come to mind readily.
Yes.
They have
See,
not.
that's part of the reason
either
why
one of those games.
and that's part of the reason why I mentioned
Yeah, I know.
guess
I
the
own
first rule
that.
of the
I own
Cowabunga
that.
collection because
But
like
that's actually
it's
what I was
people-
getting to.
yeah, it's because it's what people love, right?
Mhm.
And it's kind of like with the Kingdom Hearts series too. Going back to it, because they kind of re-released the games. It's like all in one before Kingdom Hearts 3 came
Yeah,
along.
yeah, you have.
Because
Yeah,
they
you
knew
have
that
the
there was
game-
a good
Mhm.
fan base of it
But-
too. So I think
Like,
that's
okay,
a,
so
like
as
a good
someone,
market for collections.
Yeah.
Is my point.
as someone, I'm going to let Fire continue in 1 second. As someone who wanted to get into Kingdom Hearts, because like my producer was really into Kingdom Hearts, and I played one on the PS2. Now the thing is, I only had one console growing up. I couldn't afford the other ones, right? And the
Yeah.
fact that you had to play like that, then you had to play the one on the GameCube, then you had to play the handheld one, then you had to play another one on another console and another one on a different one. I didn't have the money.
One of the
One on
biggest
the
flaws
DS, yeah.
mechanically with Kingdom Hearts was how scattered around it was.
Okay,
How
so I'll
hard
agree
to
with
keep
that.
track of it was.
I'll agree with that. That's one of the biggest flaws, and I feel like that's why they did the whole all-in-one thing, because they heard
Yeah, the HD
fans
remake.
complain about that, and so they wanted to like keep like isolated to like one system, which is why we have it all on PlayStation, all on the Switch now, all on the Xbox laptop, because I think they heard fans complain about that.
Now,
Yeah.
the last thing I want to say in regards to what we were talking about just a minute ago is with Capcom specifically, and this is when the Cowabunga collection came out, this reminded us of how much this pissed us off with Capcom, because they outright refused. People have asked. They outright refused to do a collection of the other Capcom fighting games like Rival Schools and Darkstalkers.
Mhm.
Now, they did do a Darkstalkers collection a while back, but it was digital only initially. Now, they did go back on that because they put out something called the Capcom Fighting Collection, and I do own the hard copy of it, that had Darkstalkers, Red Earth, and a couple other games they did. Okay, good on you. Where's fucking Rival Schools?
Yeah.
But the other thing is Capcom RPGs are dead. Capcom had the entire Breath of Fire
And that's
series.
a crying shame.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I've not
And-
heard about an RPG from Capcom in a long while.
Capcom did the Breath of Fire series, which back in the day was a contender
Yes.
with Final Fantasy. My brother and I played
All
with
four of them.
Yep. And then they fucked up with Dragon Quarter, and it was a fuck up they could have fixed. But instead, Capcom chose to just dustbin the whole fucking franchise.
Yeah.
And now they've had people actually approach them in the past asking Capcom if they could just get the license to do remasters of those games. And Capcom basically told them to go fuck themselves. They
Yeah.
refused to even let anybody else touch those RPGs.
Yeah,
They just
yeah,
want
and
them to
that-
gather dust forever.
Yeah, and that's the
Even
problem.
though-
People being the holders of intellectual property, they say, "Yeah, we just hold the rights, and we don't want anyone to make. We own it; it's ours." They're hoarding like it's
The
one
big
ringer.
flaw there is that with the executives, they've decided since they don't view it as a marketable thing, they won't let anyone else touch it.
But see, and they could take away all the risk if they let another company do what they will, do what they're going to do with it, and then if they make profit, get a piece of that profit. If they don't make profit, they can cut ties with them completely and say, "Well, y'all tried, bye."
And I
But
believe
then-
that was
yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
I believe that was actually part of the
want to
pitch.
make money off it. That's what they want. They would rather be the ones making money off of it.
Yeah,
not
I
anyone
believe
else.
that was actually one of the ways that the company's interested in getting Breath of Fire rights just for republishing it, had pointed out, and Capcom still refused to budge.
Well, and let's not ignore the fact that if they were to release all 4 Breath of Fire games right now on the Switch or on the PlayStation 5, if they were to put 4 on one disc, any one of us would pay $60 for that without batting an eyelash.
Do you
Yeah.
have any idea how much the Final Fantasy Pixel remaster sold?
Well,
So
I mean,
I
I bought a physical copy through PlayAsia.
Exactly.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? And someone brought it up in the private chat. What do you guys think about the industry workers being overworked, like
I think-
industry pros?
I think that is a swamp, because sometimes it's true and sometimes it isn't. Sometimes people are actually getting overworked, and sometimes people are just being assholes and they're angry with the company and they want to cause a stink.
Or in a
Yep.
few
Yeah.
cases, they're actually lazy and don't want to do any work.
That's part of it. Because if you look at some of the people, especially in Western gaming companies, sometimes you just have lazy assholes who want to make trouble, or they want to pass the buck off to somebody else.
Yeah,
And sometimes companies legitimately push too much crunch.
And-
It's so
and I
hard to
find it-
tell the difference.
Well, and that's the thing. I usually find it more. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I find it suspicious that it's usually when a game has tanked or underperformed that we suddenly hear complaints about too much crunch and that kind of thing. It's like they're immediately trying to justify why the game didn't do as well as it was supposed to or it was projected to do, instead of just taking the loss and saying, yeah, we'll do better next time, because nobody takes that kind of responsibility
I
anymore.
want to address a comment.
Fans.
I want to address a comment real quick.
This one?
Okay,
Yes.
Bad Wolf, again, that's an overgeneralization. Yes, I am annoyed by how many games are digital, but there's actually a lot more of them than you're giving credit for. It's not all digital. You're
There's a
being
good amount that are
pessimistic.
still doing
There's a lot of shit still coming
physical
out
copies
physical,
and such.
and whenever it is physical, that's how I get it.
Well, that's the thing.
Okay,
I got
Good.
You go
I was just gonna say I got the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle physical. I had to order
me
it from
too.
Japan, but it's got the English setting on it, so I play the hell out of that.
For fuck's sake, Treepang 2, and some of you have seen me play that batshit fear style shooter. That fucking thing, I got a hard copy of that for $30.
Yeah.
Because the company's like, oh yeah, the digital version sold well. Let's put
That's
it on
kick
disc.
ass. Yep.
Yeah,
So-
hell. Yeah, same thing with Mass Effect Legendary
I
Edition.
have-
I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
got
question
it for
for
$20.
Jet Sparks, because honestly, I think we've been bouncing over him for a bit.
Fair
So,
enough,
Jet
yeah.
Sparks, you love the Mass Effect series, and you've been streaming it on your channel, right?
I streamed it. I streamed it earlier
Yeah.
this year. I think it's the
Like-
biggest
Same.
Let's Play I've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did a fantastic job on it as well. Guys, go check out Jet Sparks and his Let's Play of it. But what I was saying is, what do you want to see that remade, or do you love games like that still have their old school feel?
Yeah, I do like the games where they have their own skill. But I mean, I know Mass Effect is a fairly decent, a fairly recent game. It's not like a game that was released over 2 decades ago.
We just like to kind of keep Andromeda over there in its own closet.
No,
What?
yeah, no. That game is not. That game does not exist. It doesn't exist. It's not canon. Why would they freaking retcon the actual real life SpaceX into the Mass Effect universe when they already had dozens of their own of their own fictional corporations?
I have
in
no
the game.
idea.
Again, I get all
Because
that.
SpaceX would have paid for him. That's why.
No, because guys, no. The thing is, you are truly a truly creative people. You come up with your own story. You come up with your own things in universe. Like a company that actually produces Helium-3 is called Enfeld Ashland.
Let me
And they're the largest supplier of Helium-3 in the galaxy.
the sad part is that the only two things I can remember about Andromeda at all, and despite we did play it when it first came out, is that I liked the female Turian because she was cool initially, and that the fucking rover they gave you was fun to drive. That's all I remember about that fucking game.
I was okay. Andromeda was one of the first games I've heard about on the PlayStation 4, I think. And I was so excited about it, and I heard nothing about bad reviews. So fuck this game. I'm not going to get it then. See, no let's plays of it whatsoever.
I was skeptical about how. I was skeptical somewhat about this another Mass Effect game. I was like, yeah, why do we need another one of these? I mean, as much as we
They're actually announced a new one today.
Yeah, they're making
yeah,
a fourth game too.
I
It's
don't
a
even
game.
care, but hell, again, the Mass Effect Andromeda. I mean, people have pretty much
It had a
modded
fantastic story. It didn't need to
Yeah.
go forward.
I know, yeah, it's safe for the ending of 3.
Well,
but
let me point this
others
out.
have modded and made the third game better on PC for
Yeah,
the
after,
let me point this
after
out, and I
Fire's point,
think-
we're going to wrap up.
Okay. I think both of you can agree with me on this. Is Dragon Age Inquisition and Mass Effect Andromeda just proved that company's a shell. All the talent has been gone for a long time. That company is dead. BioWare doesn't exist.
Yeah, and even in the Mass Effect
Unfortunately.
universe, something that really would have been a good contributing factor story wise and plot was the dark energy thing that was set up in Mass Effect 2. But again, Drew Karpyshyn left, and the guy who was the writer of Mass Effect 3 went on to be the creative director of Mass Effect Andromeda. So you know where everything went wrong. With whoever this writer is.
You know what will make BioWare more popular, more relevant now? Bring back the KOTOR games.
So they're actually working on those?
And I'm concerned because I've seen who some of the writers
can
are.
you check your
No.
Yes.
I don't mean remake. I just mean like bring back the original versions.
Well, they did do a Switch re-release, but
yes.
I mean like all
did.
platforms, not just only
No, they
Switch,
are.
'cause I got them on
They're
Switch.
the company who did the new Star Wars games are actually doing Knights of the Old Republic.
And I got a feeling they're going to, and we all know they're going to screw it up.
Well,
because
I've known a couple of Star Wars fans who hate the woke Star Wars stuff, who love the new games. Like Farv, did you play them?
nah.
You're talking about the Fallen Order?
I haven't played a Star. You got to remember, I haven't played a Star Wars game since Battlefront 2 because I'm not really all in for the Jedi-focused stories a lot of the time.
Well, I
that's
played Fallen Order, but I have not played Survivor, and I don't think I even want to at this point.
But it was kind of.
I would say is a pretty.
Hold
good
on, wait.
story.
What, Bubba?
Oh, I was just saying it's kind of like what you guys were talking about earlier. That no matter what happens, because like the Fallen Order games and Survivor, they're in the Disney canon. So no matter what happens, we know all roads lead to that sequel trilogy. So it kind of
exactly. And of course,
not only that,
even more so, Survivor's connected that to the High.
The High Republic. I was gonna bring that up.
I'm just saying, guys, because that's going to start like a load of debate, and we're
we're over time.
We're not getting into the movies.
But
I'm going to wrap this
We
up.
can make that for another stream for the future.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up. I'd like to just point out, Maxis's new name for anyone on the stream is going to be changed to Kusri because she lost a court order with me. So she is now the streamer formerly known as Maxis.
Right, okay.
And he's now known as Potato Maximus.
Because I want to get away from my freaking middle school life.
You know what? Then you're better than most freaking millennials who want to stay there.
And just for Potato Raven, I identify as a sweet potato. You're welcome, bro.
Okay, Hey, Flippy. You haven't seen what I fucking changed your headline to all fucking stream.
Oh, God.
I eat ketchup pizza. Hell yeah. That is fairly accurate.
Would you like to share your stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I got a channel called Farvithian Guard. It's it's probably right there, but anyway,
after being shielded in the chat by Phil, which
it's
thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. It's a gaming and streaming channel. My brother and I do a lot. Some stuff I do on my own. Like we found out we can't do co-op audio on the Terminator game because there's a glitch where it fucks with it tries to activate. It's a small bug because it's not meant to be played 2-player. Where if he plugs in his headset into the other controller, which is how we do our audio recording, it freaks out my controller and the controls don't work right. So we had to start doing single audio on that one.
Well, that sounds.
Oh my God.
But there's a lot of games on there. We do co-op audio. We do streams on Mondays and Thursdays, unless something goes wrong with our streamers, which did happen on Thursday. Yes, we are doing one tomorrow around 6 p.m. my time. I also am a writer.
6 p.m. Central Time for anyone wondering.
Correct. I also am a writer. This book is on Amazon right now in ebook and hardcover format. I am close to 280 pages into the sequel at about 26 chapters into the sequel, and that'll probably hopefully be getting ready to go. I have to send it to copyright once I'm finished, which takes about 2 to 3 weeks, and then it's the process of getting the cover art done. It's going to be a few more months before the sequel comes out, but it's getting there.
Fantastic. Jet Sparks, we'll go to you.
Okay, yeah, like it says, you can see with the handle there. I am JetSparks373. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Twitch. And again, you can find. I actually have all my channels are linked in my link tree, which I think Revan has. So let me just try to pull that up. But yeah,
Yep.
I recently did
check out
a.
I like that Noah Special Size 10. That's Jet's channel.
Yeah, I
Hold
recently
on,
did
I got
a.
you. I just grabbed his link tree as well because I know he likes to push that out as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a link tree, and the most thing I've recently done is that, November 7th was, of course, N7 Day, which is like pretty much like a day that celebrates the Mass Effect franchise. And of course, I played a little bit of the game on Twitch, and I re-uploaded it to my YouTube channel. And even then, you go and watch that video. The links to my entire playthrough of the Legendary Edition on YouTube is linked in that video. And like I said, sometimes I export some of my Twitch streams to YouTube as well, so you can always check it there.
That's
And I also do
Thomas.
And I also do writing streams as well.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Like, Jet Sparks is a good creator. He's he's deadly under sub. So guys, please, for the love of God, go and check him out.
Yeah, because again, like I said, though, we all know it. As much as everybody will say, I mean, still some people will say it's still going strong, but we're kind of sensing that YouTube's days are numbered because they're putting so many restrictions. The algorithm is screwing with everybody.
They don't like you talking about that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Not your fault.
Yeah, but yeah, it's true. I honestly want to just have myself and probably have my channel exposed to as many people as possible.
My stuff.
And hey, if anyone's up for a collaboration, just let me know. You can reach me via Twitter or just try to reach out to me. Anyway,
Phil, to you next. Flippy.
First rule in the Matrix. Do not mention the Matrix.
I think you just.
No, wait, he's back.
I muted myself. That's my bad. We all know I'm a helpless boomer.
Hold on.
What the fuck?
We have one of the mascots. Show us the baby. Ah, it's the little girl.
That is the boy.
Kitty.
It's funny you do that because you missed
I
Jet
now
3 or 4
legally-
times there.
Due to an agreement.
Yeah, Jet
me and Max
was
is-
there
You
last.
just misgendered the pussy.
You never misgender a pussy.
Wow.
Amen to that, bro.
No,
Wait, what?
Did you lose your train of thought?
That's for the dolls.
no. Read the bar. Read the banner.
Poor Kanya.
Oh, there it is.
It is
Oh.
better cast for the LL.
That doesn't make any sense. The
I
cat
missed-
doesn't care.
Exactly.
But,
All cares about being tuna.
Bubba. Phil, thank you so much for sharing. Bubba, would
So
you like to
essentially,
tell about how you?
Well, I did say, go TMT everywhere. There you go. You're welcome.
Oh, except for
That's
Twitter, because you're not feeling TMT on Twitter.
Scatter Night on the
There you
Twitter's
go.
Twitter's
There
site.
you go. It's the Shattered Night.
So, Bubba,
We still see you,
wanna
Ron.
tell us how you make liberals cry?
Oh yeah, I am Geek Hero Bubba just about everywhere you can find me, which is pretty much here. And when I show up on other people's streams, and when I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter, probably soon to be known as Twitter again, if you believe The Simpsons. Anyway,
They've never changed their web address. It's still Twitter.
no, I know. But yeah, it's like wearing an X mask. But anyway. Yeah, but anyway, so since I don't have a lot to shill, I did want to say I wanted to recommend if you're in for a Pokemon style game on December 1st, Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince comes out. You get to play 3 monsters at a time. You still or 4 now. It's 4 depending on the size of the monsters. It's a great game. It's set in the Dragon Quest universe, but it's not. It's not strict to the Dragon Quest timeline. I know the hero from the 4th game is supposed to make an appearance in this. It's an absolutely epic game so far. I am 60 hours into a 3-hour demo because I keep training my monsters and trying to fight. That they put like these big boss monsters around. They're freaking amazing. But anyway, The demo's free on the Nintendo eShop right now, and that is, like I said, you'll get addicted quick, especially if you're a Pokemon fanatic. The Mario RPG comes out next week.
I gotta go pick it up.
It's already out. It's already out.
Yeah,
I
so,
already paid for it. I just gotta pick it up.
yeah. So, it comes out on the 17th, and I've been paying on it little by little. I'm gonna go pick it up at the GameStop next week. I'm really excited about it. They have done a good job of not dulling it down. Even the questionable, like the politically incorrect, questionable missions, they've left them in there. I've got high hopes. Yeah, I got high hopes for this. Yeah, you're still looking for Princess Peach's vibrator. But anyway, then
have you asked Luigi? Because I'm pretty sure he knows.
Wow.
Oh, probably. But anyway, so so those are my game recommendations. As for games that are already out, I mentioned Darksiders and Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning earlier. Those are great games if you want.
I would.
A nice.
Yeah.
But
if you want a single player experience.
We started a new series over on Farv's channel. Me, Kusri, and Farv have decided to be stupid and fuck around in the world of Debate over on Farv's channel. You can see some of the videos of us putting up fights where for some reason it looks like they're not even there. I don't know why.
That's because you have a really bad camera angle.
That's because I'm you. Because if you watch my videos, we're there.
If you say so.
My show.
But one more point, please.
Sky.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gaming industry, please stop releasing incomplete games. DLC doesn't count. Like that's post game, and that's fine. But for the love of God, please, if you say a game, I would rather a game be postponed and be complete by the time you release it than release an incomplete game. And that's it.
And in closing, let's be real, it's mostly the Western AAA studios doing that.
It is
exactly.
The last one I'm going to state before I close is Maxis can kiss my fucking ass, because I used to be a big fan of The Sims. They fucked up with The Sims 4. They made each area, your house, your thing, into like little bubbles.
I'm
like
just glad they haven't redone the 4. I would cry.
Oh.
Yeah. They've fucked up Sims 4.
Oh yeah, and the pricing of what,
until you said that out loud.
DLC is ridiculous.
PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live, and at least Nintendo Switch Online is somewhat reasonable now.
Yeah,
I think
they actually
lowered the
made
price.
the base of The Sims 4 free to play. It's fucked up that badly. But what they did now is they went complete and utter modern, like for a modern audience. Your Sims now have pronouns. Your Sim, when you're making a Sim, if you make a male Sim, you have to choose. This Sim can get pregnant or can get people pregnant, right? And you can now add in transgender top surgery scars.
It's because the company Maxis has been over the deep end for a while.
Yeah. In the words of a much more famous YouTuber, current day.
Yeah, thank you, Az.
So on that, I'm going to just end with one thing.
Wait,
what, Phil?
I got one thing. I got one thing. My pronouns are Ewok hot dog. You're welcome.
Really? You stopped us for that?
Really?
Ewok hot dog?
Kusri, can you do us a favor?
There better not be fur on my hot dog.
Ooh.
Can you tell us what's that chant from Genshin Impact up in Fontaine?
No. You can refuse that. You're 100% within your rights.
Nah, I'm tired. Why not? Are you talking about the
Hey,
Orchard
Phil.
Technique Annalise Cardinal?
Phil, my pronouns are Wookiee cellmate.
Oh.
Yeah, boy.
This is the last thing we're saying before we shut this out. So we're going to let Max assault. We're going to let Kusri talk. Kusri, you're saying?
I already said the Orchard Mechanique d'Annalise Cardinal.
Thanking you, and everyone, good night. Have fun. God bless. And remember, to the gaming industry, please fix your shit.